Dang it. Hey guys, how's it going? As promised from last time, I am going to be continuing these videos expressing my top 5 albums of the month. You know, just keep sharing the music and keep sharing the albums and hopefully receiving some feedback from you guys and stuff like that. And if you haven't seen the other videos, go watch them. They explain how I break down this list and stuff like that, and I will be linking all the stuff down below in the description. Without further ado, let's not waste any more time and get into the list. So kicking off the list for this month is gonna have to go to the album Dead Roses by blackbear.
You thought I wouldn't come around to you, you know I was down for. So
recently I've actually been sort of getting into like more R&B and hip hop and stuff like that, and actually I've been listening to blackbear for, you know, before he was even called blackbear, when he was named Matt Musto. He worked on some stuff with Tyler Carter a few years back when Woe Was Me was still around, and that's how I got into him. When I first listened to blackbear, I wasn't digging it all that much because he used to do like a lot of acoustic stuff, and then he switched to like, you know, mostly just straight up R&B and stuff like that. But listening to this album, I really got into it. I haven't listened to this album in a while, but I decided to, you know, try to get back into it again, and you know, it's a great album. A lot of the songs are really vibey and has quite a bit of emotion to it. I feel like he does a great job in expressing the emotion of some of the songs, not only in his lyrics, but also in his singing and just the instrumentals. And I feel like, you know, just the mix of like the piano and the beats and stuff like that just really elevate some of the emotions that he put on this album in some of the songs. And with that, the number 4 album for this list is gonna go to Better Weather by With Confidence. So I've expressed it many times, I love pop punk music, and I feel like no matter what I listen to throughout the month, I always come back to sort of like just very simple pop punk music, because you know, it's sort of what I love in general. And this album didn't really disappoint. It's pretty catchy and sort of simple, but its simplicity sort of makes it entertaining throughout the whole entire album. As with other pop punk albums, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of, you know, power chords and very fast songs, but there are some songs on this album that sort of breaks away from that and breaks that flow, and there's a lot of slower songs and some songs that sort of build up throughout the whole entire song, and I found that really entertaining. And the vocals on this album are really amazing. The singers and the backup singers they're just really great at singing, and the harmonies that they make are just pretty great, and it sort of makes this band stand out from the crowd of a lot of the new modern pop punk bands. And going on from that, the number 3 album on this list is gonna go to Everything You Wanted by Jay Park. So I gotta say, I've been listening to a lot of K-pop lately, but I feel like this album can't really be considered just generic K-pop. I've done a little bit of research on Jay Park, and he's actually from America. He's from the USA, and he traveled to Korea and was in a Korean pop band, but he sort of broke off from that and formed AOMG and became a solo artist, and I really respect that. And if you listen to this album, you could tell his American roots. There are a lot of songs that are just straight English, and there are a few songs that have a mix of both, and some songs that are all Korean, but I just found this album really entertaining, and you know, it's a pretty sensual album, so it's like pretty smooth and stuff like that. So there are a lot of songs you can't help but like move your body to, and I feel like Cha Cha Malone, the producer of this album, just did an amazing album. All the beats and the instrumentals on this album are really well put together, and I feel like, you know, that's what kept me entertained, was mostly the beats and stuff like that, besides, you know, Jay Park singing. And yeah, like I can't really say enough about it. There's songs that sort of break off from like the flow of the album, and it's not really all consistent with how it wants to sound, but it keeps me entertained, and hopefully you guys, if you guys decide to listen to it, you might, you know, become a fan yourselves. And on the complete other spectrum of music, the number 2 album on this list for this month is gonna go to the album Shape of Color by Intervals. So if you guys have seen a lot of my covers, you could probably tell that like I love guitar and I love bass, and I am a huge like guitar and bass tone nerd, and that's what I really loved about this album, where the tones, the guitar tones and the bass tones, they were just the tones of this album. And for those of you who don't know, Intervals is just a straight up instrumental progressive sort of metal band that's out. This album just has such big tones and such a big sound, and not only that, but everything on this album is very intricate and it's fairly consistent in its intricacy. Seeing as this is a progressive metal artist, there are a lot of solos, there are a lot of really cool and really complicated guitarists, but I feel like Aaron Paul, the guitarist for Intervals, does a really good job of giving a good mix of just sort of headbanging like heaviness and cool and entertaining riffs and solos, and I feel like this album was really consistent in that, and it was really entertaining to listen to throughout the whole entire thing. I was doing some dishes the other day and I was listening to this album, and next thing I know I was done with both, and then I just had to put it on replay just because I loved how it sounds so much. But despite that, the number one album on this list is gonna have to go to the album Grow by Chan.
Trying to find you left me lost.
So I'm a college student, some of you may relate, and being a college student, I need music to listen to while I study. I can't really listen to a lot of, pop punk music because that'll get me like sort of too hyped and want to sing along and stuff like that, and I can't really listen to heavy music because that gets a little too distracting, and that's sort of where this album sort of falls in place. Some of the songs are really chill and some of the songs are really engaging. The best way I could describe that is just the first two songs on the album it starts sort of slow, but then it picks up like that, and that's sort of how this album sort of carries itself out, which I personally think is a really good thing. It keeps you entertained while sort of at times helps you sort of focus on whatever you're doing, especially if you're listening to it as background music. There are some songs that have vocals on it, which is really different for a progressive band. The way this album is laid out with all the songs and stuff like that, it's just a really good engaging album to listen to, and it helps me study. So yeah, those are my top 5 albums for this month of April. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Any of you guys watching have an album you want to recommend me, please comment down below. I would love to hear new albums and hear new stuff that people would recommend me, and maybe it might come up in the next episode or any other future episodes. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. See you guys next time.